08 November Tango with the Pennine Ham digital net. We had some apologies from Jeff, my zero AUG, and also from some other members. I think maybe because here, at least in Belgium, this is the holiday is Sunday. So that's probably the reason that some people are not joining in tonight. I would say a very good welcome also to the people on YouTube. And we also have a new participant from Wales this time, Mike Whiskey Zero Delta India Mike, which we will give the microphone in due time. So first of all, I will check if there is anyone on GB7 Hotel X-Ray on the repeater. Is there anyone on GB7 Hotel X-Ray who wants to join the net from 08 November Tango in the group? Nothing heard from Nick. Maybe he is occupied with something. So, oh, he's on the he's on the dashboard now.
08 November Tango from G4IWO. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, Jeff, but suddenly I lost any audio coming in from you. So my apologies. And a very big welcome to our people here tonight, and especially Mark, MW0DIM, joining us for the first time here live on the net. Welcome, Mark. And of course, hello to those who are listening to us live on YouTube this evening, and no doubt we'll be catching up later in the week. I've got various things to talk about, Jeff, but I'll do that on the next over. And good to see you take charge tonight. So back to you, Jeff. 08 November Tango, G4IWO.
G4IWO, the group 08 November Tango. Oh, thank you, Nick. I didn't know what happened, but anyway, problem solved, I think. Still go to Germany. Delta Lima 1 Bravo Juliet Whiskey and Delta Lima 8 DDT, Mike and Adriana. Go ahead, Mike.
Delta Lima 1 Bravo Juliet Whiskey. Very good evening to one and all. Yeah, it was a very interesting talk yesterday on Zoom from Pennine Ham, and that was nice and informative. But the talk later on between the members was also very interesting and very nice and informative. And yeah, glad about that. Otherwise, today is also a holiday here in Germany. It's called Vatertag or Father's Day, or of course from part of the church it's Ascension Day, I think it's called. And so lots of festivities all around here, and perhaps you can hear in the background the music hammering away from a restaurant which is not far from us, about 100 meters, I think, or 150. And they have been doing loud music in the garden for the whole day now. Yeah. So far from my side, passing the microphone to Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango.
Yeah, very good evening to all of you. This is Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango for the group. Yes, today here in northern Germany, weather conditions are quite interesting, so to speak. In the morning was quite sunny and there was about temperature of 18 to 20 degrees centigrade, blue sky and so on. And at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, rain has started and it's raining since then up until now, and it doesn't seem to stop. But I think that all the people here who are celebrating so-called Father's Day, which was celebrated by strolling around groups of men drinking alcohol and so on, they won't be stopped by this. So these are the conditions here. So I have the microphone to Oscar November 8 November Tango for the group.
Okay, thank you very much, Delta Lima 1 BJW and Delta Lima 8 BDT. I had a little bit of problem with Mike at the last part of his over. There were some breakups, but maybe not from my side. That's very well possible. And okay about that restaurant, I think maybe you should put ACW signal into the air. Maybe that will disturb you. Never know. Maybe telegraphy will come out of the boxes each time. You could always try that. Okie-doke. Let's go to Lou. Golf 8 Kilo Juliet Juliet. Grupo en November Tango. Go ahead, Lou. Golf 8 Kilo Juliet Juliet. And I see you disappeared from the dashboard, so you probably have a problem there. So we will come back to you, Lou, on the next over because you are not on the dashboard anymore. We will go to Wales. Mike, Whiskey Zero, Delta, India, Mike. A very good evening, Mike. Welcome to the group for the first time. From ON8 November Tango and the group. Go ahead, Mark.
ON8, NC, and W0DIM, and the group, of course. Name is Mark, and I live in just outside a large town in south part of Wales, Swansea. The weather's a bit dodgy at the moment. It's drizzly. It's 15 centigrade, and I've just come back from a heavy meal, one of these carveries where you can eat as much as you like. So I'm actually stuffed. So I've got a glass of red wine just in front of me now, just to have a relax and chill and everything, and get the feel of the network and everything. Back to you. ON8, then TMW0DIM and the group.
Mike Whiskey Zero, Delta India, Mike, the group ON8 November Tango. Yeah, thank you very much for that. And by the way, the weather here in Belgium is about 15 degrees. We had a dry day, quite some wind. I even put my antennas down here on the balcony. So for safety reasons. So quite some wind, I think, and that will probably take some extra days. On Saturday, we are expecting 25, 26 degrees. So another heating wave. I will try Lou again. I see he popped up again on the dashboard. Golf 8 Kilo Juliet Juliet. The group ON8 November Tango. Go ahead, Lou.
Thanks, Jeff. ON8 November Tango, G8KJJ. Apologies for that. I got it on unlink, unfortunately. So when I pressed the foot pedal, I just unlinked from the reflector. Anyway, good evening to everyone. Very nice to hear everyone's on. And the WX in Nottingham has been pretty good over the last. It's certainly been pretty good today. We've had a lot of rain last night, and the temperature improved, the sun came out, and during the afternoon it was very warm. Currently it's about 20 degrees Celsius. I haven't seen the presentation on the two-element wire beam yet, but I will look at that over the weekend. But it does look very interesting. So back to you, Jeff, and hopefully I've managed to connect this time. ON8 November Tango KJJ.
Corporate Kilo Juliet, ON8 November Tango 100% cocktail, and you will be fascinated by that presentation, and I'm sure you will start to make just another antenna from another of our presenters. So really interesting design, and he especially had some very good tips of how to arrange everything. So quite interesting discussion also about what kind of mast you can use and so on and so on. So quite interesting. Okay, now I go to Martin. Mike Romeo Bravo the group. ON8 November Tango. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, ON8 November Tango, Mike 1, Mike Romeo Bravo. Good afternoon to all of you, or good evening, depending on what part of the world you're in. Sorry I didn't see last night. It was a busy day for me yesterday. Every other Wednesday is pretty much locked, and I haven't made it onto the group, this net, for a little while. My apologies, guys. I do think you did a great job. Only radio from me. I was out on Sunday doing 433 Alive, and that was great fun. What it did prove to me, though, is that I'm not as fit as I thought I was by the time we managed to get to the high point we were going to. But that's another story. I'll sit back to you, Jeff, and just listen to what else is going on around and go from there. So ON8NT, Mike 1, Mike Romeo Bravo.
Mike Romeo Bravo. ON8 November Tango. Well, no problem that you missed that yesterday evening, because it will be, or it is already on YouTube, I think. So that is a good way to look again to see what was happening, and also the discussion and to a certain point was also recorded, not the after party like Mike mentioned. It was also interesting, but that was not recorded. But anyway, we had some interesting points there. Okay, Scotland, Golf Mike 4 Juliet Kilo Zulu. The group of ON8 November Tango. Go ahead, Pete.
ON8 November Tango with the group GM4JKZJ. Jeff and one and all. And hi to Martin. I'm pretty sure we had a chat through one of the repeaters, probably WR, I'm not sure. And I was travelling back from Somerset 3 or 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so. But if not, it's a memory thing, getting old now. On the 5100 tonight, so I can do some pictures. Or a picture, should I say. So that's good from my perspective. Temperature up here, 19 degrees. And yeah, it's been very windy up here as well this morning. Took the dogs out for a walk, and the little one's almost sailing away on the end of the lead. So that was amusing. But otherwise, radio-wise, nothing heard from the Emporium down south yet. The 736R is on the workbench. I've built some interfaces for it, for cat control, and I just need to finalise 2 more of those. I built 3 altogether. Need to finalise those and test them out to make sure they're all okay. A nice design, I must admit, a little tiny box. But apart from that, not really a great deal of radio operation. Meeting the presentation, as I say, afterwards last night was brilliant. But I had a quick look down the garden, and there's no way am I going to get the large solid square and a beam in. I think I shall have to complaints, so I'm rethinking that one, Jeff. So that's you, ON8 November Tango from GM4JKZ.
CM4 JKZ, the group ONA November Tango. Yeah, okay. I think in my case it's also out of the question, but nevertheless very interesting to discuss that and to see the design and how it was set up and so on and so on. So quite interesting, but I know here on my balcony that will be out of the question. I'm quite sure that the HOA police would be ringing the bell very early when I would try to set up a monster like that. Okie do, the States, November 4, X-Ray Alpha Tango. Very good afternoon, Bob. I don't know if that is an official holiday for you in the States there, but we here in, at least in Europe and I think also in the UK, we have an official holiday today. So back to you, Bob. November 4, X-Ray Alpha Tango, the group ONA November Tango.
N8NT with the group November 4, X-Ray Alpha Tango. Our official holiday was Monday. Our official holiday was last Monday, always the last Monday in May, and that's the unofficial beginning of summer for us. It used to be called Decoration Day. Now, in recent years, they've changed the name Memorial Day. Now, the weather here is more April-like than May-like, although today it's a nice day. It rained during the night, and it's rained.
I lost you, Bob. I lost you. You are.
I just got I don't know whether I was garbled there or not, but I just got a garble on my connection. I'm sorry I was late, but I was on a Zoom with Henry and Amanda. I was trying to figure out the name of the ship that I'm going to show today. The ship from Helgoland. It was an old ship that was docked there, and I couldn't figure out the name of it. I blew it up and couldn't figure it out. And Henry and Amanda were trying to help me with it, and it looks like we're working on it still. But at any rate, you'll see the photo later. Maybe someone could come back and tell me the name of the ship. Not much new here. I have been doing fairly well with POTA, but the last few days I've had other things to do, so I haven't done much POTA in the last couple of days. Back to you, Jeff, and thank you for picking me up. ON8NT and 4XAT.
N4XAT.
N4XAT, the group ONA November Tango. Okay. Yeah, I saw you were disappearing for a certain time, but then you came back, so that's probably the stable internet connection. Well, last Friday I went to the Maritime Festival in Ostend, and I also have one picture from this famous Mercator ship, a three-master training ship from the Belgian Navy. So that will also be my picture of today. Let's go to what we have been up radio-wise during the last week, and I could tell from my part, I have been experimenting with a strange antenna. Actually, it's the Outback 2012. That's the strange antenna, 1 meter 60 long, I think, with the lead with the two banana clips. And I am really surprised how well that worked. Actually, during the last couple of days in the evening, I worked quite some Japanese stations. And over the weekend, I took part a little bit search and found in the CQ Worldwide WPX CW contest. And I worked over 100 stations, and that was with 5 watt QRP. I was doing 5 watt QRP. I went from the west coast of the States to China and to Africa, to Madeira and to Zulu Delta 7 and so on and so on. So really amazed about that antenna, very strange. But anyway, it's working like a charm, so to say. So Just wondering what you were all up this week. So I give the microphone back to Nick G4IWO Group, ON8 November Tango.
ON8 November Tango and the group from G4IWO. Yeah, first of all, good evening to everyone on the net this evening, and also to the various people who've been listening to us on YouTube as well. Yeah, I very much enjoyed last night's presentation by Ignacy N09E. I thought it was a very interesting talk, and I think what probably appealed to me and other club members that was revealed in the after discussion, probably more, was that he was clearly a real amateur, taking an amateur approach to antenna building, and you know, getting something up as quickly and as simply as possible, and discovering it worked very well. So I thought that was very good. It's a shame that Keith hasn't got the space to put up the full square beam antenna. I may well, when I finished playing around with the Delta loop, and I've obviously not been able to do it in the last week. We've had very poor weather conditions up here. I think most of England's been suffering with it, but a lot of rain, and it just hasn't been possible to go out in the garden and to carry on making those adjustments to the 10-meter Delta loop antenna that Lou has had some success with. I really want to get that working properly, and also to try it out in real time on 10 meters on one of the modes, whether it be single sideband or CW. But yeah, we've had very poor conditions, I think, on HF over the last week as well. I've been on the radio a few times when I've had the opportunity, and HF conditions have not been good, really. I mean, okay, not completely shut down, as we've had when we've had other solar storms, but not really fantastic. But I'm sure they will come back again. And I think I'm very much looking forward to building the small linear amplifier that Jim WA3TFS introduced us to in the club a couple of weeks ago. I've bought from him the PCB for the amplifier, and it's lovely small size. The board is no more than 3 inches by 3 inches. It's probably a bit smaller than that. It's a very, very small board. No surface mount devices, so a nice simple build. RF sensing to turn the switch the amplifier on, a proper low pass filter at the end, separate one for each band, so you build a single band version of it. I'm going to build mine for 20 meters and see how we get on. So that arrived yesterday. Not started on it yet, but definitely up there as one of the projects I would like to complete over the next few weeks, giving I think from 5 watts in, about 20 to 25 watts output, depending on which band you go on. So back to you, Jeff. ON8NT G4IWO. We seem to be having some connection problems here to the reflector. Not quite sure if it's at my end or on the reflector itself. So QRX everybody, we'll get audio running again as soon as we can do.
I'm not sure if I was coming over, because I saw Nick coming up on the dashboard. QRX.
Yeah, ON8 November Tango G4IWO. I wasn't sure whether my audio was coming up over the net at all, Jeff, when I finished there was a deathly silence and I could hear nothing at all. So my apologies. I was just quickly clicking myself on and off to check I was still connected to the reflector. Back to you, ON8NTG4IWO.
Okay, Nick, no problem. Yeah, that's why we should leave 3-4 seconds between the overs so that you can get the chance to do that. Okay, though, back to Germany. Delta Lima 1 Bravo, Juliet Whiskey, and Delta Lima 8, DDT, and 8 November Tango. Go ahead, Mike and Adriana.
Delta Lima 1 Bravo, Juliet Whiskey, yeah. Radio-wise, there was not much action on HF here on our side because we had to take down the antennas because of several warnings from the weather service regarding upcoming thunderstorms, and they are still valid, and there will be some thunderstorms in the next days also. So our antennas, our wire antennas in the garden are down. But nevertheless, we built an antenna up ground mounted on the garden soil here. Adriana got herself it's inspired by Nick's tales, an antenna from AliExpress. Which is a 5-meter telescopic whip with a red socket where you put the telescope into it, and on the underside of the socket you have a ground spike with some radios attached, and she built some additional radios for it. And so we had 8 radios all in all, put that on the ground outside and did some testing. And I can tell you, we did some tests on the reverse beacon network, nothing doing, and no results whatsoever. So I thought, should there be something wrong with it? We looked into the antenna, but everything was okay. And later in the evening, at 10 p.m. UTC, we got into it again with the FT891 from Yaesu and 100 watts. And also no results, but there was a station coming up on CW on 20 meters. Victor Kilo 2, Golf Romeo. And we thought, just give it a try. And he responded. He came back, and we had a short, nice QSO in CW. And that I'm not quite sure if that was long path or short path. It should be short path around midnight, I think. But he gave us 559, so that's not bad. We were very satisfied with the outcome, but it's still a mystery why the other stations didn't register our call sign there in the cluster. I'm not sure about that. But nevertheless, it's working, and that's okay, and a good result, and very happy about it. So passing the microphone to Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango.
Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango group. Yes, as Mike just said, the new antenna, which is a quite cheap Chinese model, seems to work. Especially with the additional pair of radios, which are made of speaker wire, and I think that this might be a good antenna to take away and to build up a portable use, especially at the coast or so. I think that this is quite portable, and if there happens something to the antenna, it's not such a high investment. But if one can reach Australia with it under such conditions, it must be worth trying. So on my side, I have not much to report. I had made some tests with a QRP radio with 5 watts here and FT8, and this was quite successful. But congrats to Jeff's successes with the Outbacker antenna. We have a similar antenna, and we had put it up onto the roof of our car, and it worked quite well. But your successes with this antenna, mounted, I think, at the balcony, were amazing. So congrats to these successes under these difficult conditions during the week. So I hand the microphone back to Oscar November 8, November Tango for the group.
Mama 1 Bravo Juliet Whiskey and Delta Lima 8 BDT. Thank you very much for the flowers, HR. Yeah, the OPAC 2012 is mounted on the balcony for the moment. And all the other antennas are down because of the wind, just like in your case, but that antenna is only 1 meter 60, so it doesn't bother anything, it doesn't bother anyone, and no problem with the wind. So I was really surprised. I'm really charming, and also congratulations on your testing there that you have done. Very, very interesting VK with your provisional antenna, so to say. And I think it's also nice to hear that we seems to be inspiring each other. Like you said, I took a red antenna from Nick, which Nick is using, and I ordered that, and you were playing with that, and I think this seems to be inspiring each other to try things and to build things and so on and so on. And I think I go to the next person who is also being inspired by Zoom and by the members. And I will put you back into your order, Lou. Golf 8 Kilo Juliet Group ONA November Tango. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. ON8 November Tango GAKJJ. And well done on your operating over the last week with just 5 watts. That's excellent. The band conditions over the last week have been very variable. 6 meters has been open to Spain and Eastern Europe and the Mediterranean. 10 meters has been generally very poor, and I've not had a chance really to have a look at the Delta. I've had it up a few times, but conditions have not been very good. I have worked a few stations. So I haven't really had a chance to test it out thoroughly, but I have planned a number of tests, and I would like to check the amount of power that I'm actually radiating, which is not an easy thing to do, particularly as my antennas are all well down the garden, and I've got about 145 feet of RG213. So I'm losing this is the calculated loss, about 30% of the signal. So I'm starting with 50 watts and finishing up with 35. But the thing is that it's probably a lot more than that, because I've got a number of common mode chokes in the feeder, and I've also got switching as well. I've got some antenna switching down there, so I am losing quite a bit. So I'm thinking that I might see just how much power is getting down the coax to the antennas, and then go on from there. So basically, not doing too much operating, but I've worked a few stations, worked a few on 6 meters, and I've been playing around a bit with the loop, and I'll get back to people on the loop in another meeting. So back to you, Jeff. ON8 November Tango GAKJJ.
Golf 8 Kilo Juliet ON8 November Tango. Yeah, interesting, I think. At that frequency, I think you will not lose that much, but anyway, Would be interesting to know and to calculate and to measure that. Very interesting. And 6 meters has been open, 4 meters has been open. But unfortunately, my antenna is down, and actually on my 6 meter antenna, I do have a problem. I think there is some bad contact. That could be the connector, could be the antenna itself, but there is too much wind to figure that out. So that is something that I will have to do if the weather improves. Okay, back to Wales. Mike Whiskey Zero Delta India Mike, the group of an 8 November Tango. Go ahead, Mark.
ON8 and TMW0DIM. Yeah, my main interest at the moment is D-Star. I come back into the hobby after about 22-year lapse, I think, and I went out and bought an Icon ID52 Plus, mainly because I haven't got a lot of room at the backyard for masts and rotators and long wires and Yagis, etc. But I'm thinking of getting a Zygo G90, which I've seen so many reviews on YouTube about, and they're relatively inexpensive. I think there's a company now selling them for under £400, so I'm not sure what that is in Belgian money. I use the euros, it's probably 450 euros or something, it's relatively cheap anyway. Shopping, I suppose. So my setup is an ID52 Plus. I'm running it through Doozy, then onto my notebook and out the router then. Doozy is absolutely brilliant because I can see everyone who's spoken on a little dashboard, and it's so easy to swap between the reflectors, etc. I've got a but I've had less success with that. For some reason, it doesn't like linking up to my PC to change reflectors and move my radio, mate my radio up alongside it. So I've still got it, but I've sort of given up on it until I take a fresh approach. But I'm quite happy just using Doozy at the moment. And maybe a birthday or Christmas present, because they're pretty close together. I'll probably treat myself to a Zygo G90, operate on QRP, which I prefer anyway, that's what I did years ago. And maybe get a loop or a telescopic aerial. It's not been built in ATU anyway, so it's going to be able to shoot it. So that's my little story. So I'm hopefully after a long lapse by the Zygo G90, hopefully, and some, either a loop, and I got a loop somewhere, and telescopic perhaps. So I'm into QRP anyway. I've never been one for 400 or 500 watts anyway. So over to you.
ON8 and T on the group, MW0DIM.
W0DIM for an 8 November Tango. That's interesting, Mark. Yeah, you did what a lot of us have done. What I have done was being out of the hobby for 20 years or so because of work commitments and family commitments and things like that. And just like you, I started again after 20 years when my daughter was out of the house. And when we were looking a little bit towards pension, so to say. So, so a lot of us actually have done that, being licensed young and then being out of the hobby for a couple of years, 20 years in most cases, more or less, and I'm coming back to the hobby and discover that everything has changed. I think 20 years ago, probably these didn't exist at all. So everything changed after you have been out of the hobby. And I think also the G90 is a very good choice, really an excellent choice. I think Mike and Adriana in Germany has one. So maybe it's interesting to have their opinion on that, but I think that this is an excellent choice. And like you said, It's not expensive. It's a good price, I think. So really a good thing. Okay, Mike 1, Mike Romeo Bravo, Martin. Oh, in 8 November Tango. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, Alex, November Tango, Mike 1, Mike Romeo Bravo. Well, I've been listening to this with interest all the way through. Mark, the G90, lovely rig. I own one as well. Suggestion for you though, have a look on the internet and for the correct manual. You may find that the manual is not the most up-to-date one. Radio Odyssey do a manual that was written by a friend of mine in Germany, Edgar Ant, BD5LP, I believe, and that is very, very much up to date for the latest version. But there are various versions of the manuals floating around the internet. I purchased mine directly from China, and you could say I was silly because I didn't get the full warranty. However, when mine arrived, the microphone cable was open circuit. It took me a little while to suss what was going on, but the microphone cable was open circuit. Just a little piece of information for anybody who's listening who's got a G90. You can use a standard network cable, a RG45 to RG45 plug. So if you were demonstrating to the public or whatever and needed a longer microphone cable, a network cable will work perfectly okay. And for Mike and Henrietta, yeah, I've got one of those telescopic whips with the red base that I bought from the Chinese outlet. And although I am not a CW operator, I have worked over Europe quite happily with it. So it is quite a reasonable antenna. And for the price, around £20, I couldn't knock it. I thought I'm going to get more fun just playing with it. And yeah, that's probably where I'm going. I'll pass it back to you, Jeff. ON8, I've lost big glasses, NT, from M1MRB.
Okay, 5-1, Mike Romeo Bravo. Thank you very much. It was some useful information, I think, for Mark and maybe also for other people. Very interesting about the G90 and about the telescopic grips. Okay, so that's what I was saying a minute ago about inspiring each other and from each other about these kind of things. Okay, up to Scotland now. Golf Mike 4 JKZ Group of an 8 November Tango. Go ahead, please.
November Tango Group, GM4JKZ. The G90's nice little radio. I keep trying to bend Jim G4JVA's arm to decide between that or the 705, but he is leaning towards the G90, I must admit. I think the only disadvantage with his age, and mine for that matter, is the size of the screen. But we did previously talk about putting magnifying glasses in front of me. The Outback 2012.
Okay, thank you, Keith. And very interesting. And I think also for Mark, my whiskey Zero Delta in Jamaica has the ID 52, and he can also probably receive the pictures, Mark. So at the end of the round, at the end of the net, I think we are 3 persons up in the States, Keith in Scotland and myself. We will send each a picture, so you will be able to receive that if your ID 51. Okie-doke. Komt November 4, X-ray Alpha Tango, the group coordinate, November Tango, go ahead, Bob.
November 8, November Tango. This is November 4, X-ray Alpha Tango. And in case I missed anyone, good evening or good afternoon to anyone that's watching on Facebook or on YouTube. I also use Doozy Mark, and I find it very, very easy. It comes up right away, and I have no serious problems with it. As a matter of fact, it's very easy to use, and it's very easy if you want to go to another group. It's easy to shift from one group to another, so I like it also. As I said earlier, I'm not doing as much with POTA as I had been, but on the other hand, I will give you some statistics. So far, I have 2,303 separate entities, so I'm not going too bad there. On the late shift, I have 194, and I am running into a problem there because I would get my next award at 200. Well, since they've changed the time zones, it's very difficult for me to find. First of all of the stateside, it would be later than usually I'm on the air, so I have to look for Europe and into Europe. Recently, I haven't had a lot of luck. However, I have been able to work the Barbados on 4 different parks, which I enjoyed. And last week I was able on the early shift to get my 1300th QSO to get another award for that. So far overseas, I've worked 184 separate parks and 21 countries. So I can't really complain about that. Of course, I have to admit that most of those parks were in Canada. So if you want to call that DX, that's great. Other than that, I can't think of anything. I did enjoy the meeting last night. I always enjoy the meetings on Wednesdays and on Thursdays also. So there you go. And with that, back to you, Jeff. ON8NT, member 4, X-ray Alpha Tango.
Okay, thank you, Bob. November 4, X-ray Alpha Tango, the group. November Tango, and congratulations on your marks on the air. Statistically impressive. Very impressive. I'm still thinking of doing this, but I just have to do it each time. Yeah, weather permitting. So, let's go to the final remarks and the final comments on what we have heard here from each other. So I see that I probably forgot the G4JBA. I don't know if G4JBA is online. Jim, are you there? Sorry, I forgot about you. No, Jim is not coming back, so he's probably at his engineering club this evening. But I totally forgot to give you the chance to come in, Jim. Sorry for that. Okay, we will skip Leak G4IWO for the last words of the net. And I will go to Delta Lima 1 BJW and Delta Lima 8 DDT, the group of an 800 Tango.
Delta Lima 1 Bravo Juliet Whiskey with the final. Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you for hosting the net, Jeff. Bedankt voor het goede werk. And it was a pleasure meeting you all again this evening. And by the way, a pleasure to meet you for the first time, Mark from Wales. Hello there, welcome. And yeah, hope to meet you all again next week. And perhaps even see you on the Zoom meeting, which I think, if I remember my calendar correctly, must be next Wednesday again. Okay, yeah. So thank you for all your interesting thoughts and for your company. And hoping to meet you all next week. One thing I just remembered, I've been looking into my Ham alert notifications, and I've also got Emil, Delta Lima 8, Juliet from Rockall Island there in these alerts, and he was active this evening on 20 meters in CW. And believe it or not, he was doing 48 words per minute. So that's about 240 signs. And I'm very happy if I can do 16 words per minute, aspiring for perhaps 20 at one time if I exercise regularly, but 48 words per minute, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable is, or nearly unbelievable, is also the success N4XAT Bob has with his Parks on the Air there. Absolutely, congratulations to that, Bob. You've passed the 2,300 mark, and it must be even more difficult if you get higher up, but you're still climbing up. Awesome. Keep up the good work. So 73 from Northern Germany, and I'm passing the microphone to Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango.
Yeah, this is Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango. Yes, thank you very much for hosting the NetBHF, and was a pleasure as every Thursday here to listen. And Mark, I've got G90 since I think 5 years, and Mike gave me one for Christmas present then, and it was an amazing present. I use it quite regularly, and I can work not also all over Europe, but also into the United States and so on with it, with the 20 watts. And we are using only a simple and fat half wave, which is running down from my window into the garden. I think the highest point may be about 4 meters. So that's quite good. It's quite nice little radio. And what's best, one can quite good take it for portable use, especially for so-called static mobile, to put it into the car and putting an antenna on top of the car and working with it. If you go outside with it with 20 watts, you can work all over the world with it. It's quite a good radio. And I think in Great Britain, Waters and Stanton are also selling these radios. So you even have a partner there in the country if something is for the radio is wrong also. So I think this will also be a good opportunity to buy it. So that's all from my side. All the best to all of you, and hope to meet you next week on Zoom or down the log in between. Bye-bye. 7388 from Northern Germany. This was Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango, handing the microphone back to Oscar November 8 November Tango for the group.
Okay, Delta Lima 8 Bravo Delta Tango and Delta Lima 8. Bravo Juliet Whiskey. Thank you very much. Vielen Dank für das nette QSO in Chai. Nice to have you again, and a real pleasure always to have all of you actually here on the net. And I go put Lou in the right order again. Golf 8, Kilo Juliet Juliet. The group 08 November Tango. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Owen 8 November Tango, GAKJJ. And yeah, Jeff, the comment you made about this net and Pennine Ham stimulating interest in building antennas and experimenting in the hobby is absolutely right. I think we all feel that now that people aren't doing things. I mean, we've always done things, but you've got other people to comment and to sort of look at what you're doing, show interest. It spurs you on to do more. So you're absolutely right in that comment, Jeff. And thanks also for hosting the net again this week. You've done a magnificent job. And I look forward to next week's net and hope conditions, radio conditions improve so Nick and I can try out our Delta loops and report back that we're working wonderful stations from all over. Anyway, 73s to everyone and have a good week. GAKJJ back to Owen 8 November Tango.
Okay, Roger. Roger, Lou. T8 Kilo Juliet Juliet 08 November Tango. Yeah, I think that's the case. At least that's what I feel about it. It's not only inspiring each other, but it's also motivating each other. That's also something which happened, I think. To come on the bands and to try to work Ken in Spain or Nick in England and so on and so on. So that's really motivating, actually. Okay, Mike Whiskey Little Delta India Mike, the group 08 November Tango. Mark, go ahead.
Owen 8, sorry, Owen 8 and TW0DI on the group. Yeah, it's a great little get together. I really enjoyed tonight. Unfortunately, it'll be sort of sporadic with me because I usually play in a band on a Thursday night, but we cancelled our rehearsal. So unfortunately, I'm going to probably have to kind of let you know I'm sort of listening in and probably look at the YouTube videos and have the odd Zoom call probably. But thank you very much to the DL stations who gave me a lot of advice on the Zygo G90. It does look a great little radio and it's cheap in my handheld. It's unbelievable actually, but it's a great little group and I will try as often as I can to join you on the Thursdays. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks everyone. And yeah, it's been a great chat. So ON8NT and WZMW0DIM, just going clear and listening.
Okay, Mike Whiskey Zero Delta India Mike, the group 08 November Tango. Thank you very much for your participation, Mark. And no problem if you cannot join every time. That's if I know there are sometimes other things which are a little bit in the way. So, but if you can, we are most pleased to have you here and to have your participation there and discuss also. And absolutely true, this ID52 is much more expensive than the G90. Absolutely, that's a strange thing about our hobby from time to time. Martin, Mike Romeo Bravo, the group 08 November Tango.
Yeah, 08 November Tango, Mike 1, Mike Romeo Bravo returning. Yeah, I've enjoyed tonight as well. One more thing about the G90 that I was mega impressed with. It's got a phenomenal auto tuner. It'll pretty much tune a bit of wet string. I was very impressed with that. An antenna I've used, I've had reasonable success because I don't do more, so I'm a single sideband person, but an antenna I've had reasonable success with is one from Walt K4 OGO, the Coastal 20. Look out on YouTube if you're not sure, but effectively it's 17'6" vertical wire, which I hold up with a fishing pole, then to a 9-to-1 Allen, and then the bottom section of the Allen, the earthy section, is 3 foot. And you think that can't work. You then run your coax to your rig, and just before you get to the rig, you put a 1-to-1 choke mallet there. And there's like a G90, you'll tune that up on pretty much any band it works on. So, yeah, worth a look. And I'm sorry if I'm teaching most of you some gigs on that one. And you can hang around and see if I can receive the pictures. So I'll say 73s to you all, and hopefully it'll get in more often. 73s and back to Jeff, ON8, NT, and 1MLB.
Okay, thank you. Mike 1, Mike Romeo Bravo, the group ON8 November Tango, NOK about Kilo 4 Oscar Golf Oscar, salty Walt, like he called himself. He's always experimenting at the salt water on the beach. Brilliant guy, I really like his videos on YouTube. And he has published a book, and I learned that that book is available in the RSGB bookshop, and it is available in Germany in the bookshop from Food Amateur. So it's available both in Germany and both in the UK, and that's good news. I think I will order it in Germany because that's the most easy way to do for me. But anyway, I'm really interested in his sketches that he has made of all these different antennas, including the Coastal 20 and some other, the Rybakov and some other designs. So that's really brilliant. Time to give the last word just before the pictures to Nick, to our chair. Go for in your whiskey hospital group. Go ahead, November Tango. Go ahead, Nick.
Oscar November 8, November Tango from G4RWO. Yeah, thank you, Jeff, and thank you everyone again for a really nice discussion about all kinds of topics tonight. Very interesting indeed. And I agree with Lou. I'm looking forward to carrying on playing with the 10-meter delta loop and seeing what kind of contacts we can make. And I was really pleased that Mike and Adriana, with the simple vertical antenna in the back garden, worked into VK2 the other day. That's very good indeed, and just shows you that the vertical antenna is the best really of the simple antennas for DX working with a lovely low angle of radiation. And yeah, Martin is right, of course. M1MRB, K2 OGO's work and his videos are great, and some of his designs are definitely worth playing with and replicating. And I haven't bought the book yet, Jeff, but I almost certainly will do. I'm a sucker for a good book. Just 2 final comments before I close. One is that go and have a look when you get a chance at the results of the Essex Ham radio survey for 2025. They launch it nationally, and they had about 900 responses to the survey this year. It's on the Essex Ham website, and it was quite interesting what were considered the top activities for amateurs at the moment. And also, of course, one of the questions was, what do today's newcomers struggle with? And top 5, the highest was nerves about operating. The second was setting up an antenna. The third was finding the money for equipment. The fourth was working out which aspect of the hobby is best to start on. And the fifth was choosing a transceiver. Probably we've touched on virtually all those subjects tonight. Maybe not the first one, but some of the others. But it was a very interesting survey, and it's worthwhile looking at the full results. It's definitely food for thought in the work that Pete Sipple there has done, putting out the survey every year for quite a few years. And I'm really looking forward, by the way, to next week's meeting. We've got a link up really with the Newport County Radio Club in North America, who are going to come along and talk to us about their club antenna shootout, where they compared portable antennas at the same time. And and had a mechanism for doing that. So next week we've got not one speaker, we've got Jim KA1ZOU, Willie W1LY, Rob KB1ZZU, Mike AA1XQ, and Bob WB4SON, who are all joining our meeting and going to be contributing to their description of what they got up to in their radio club. So that should be a fun evening. Very much looking forward to that. So thank you, Jeff, for chairing the net tonight. And thank you, everyone, for making this another interesting and often thought-provoking discussion we have in the net here. And looking forward to next Wednesday's meeting. So back to you, Jeff. ON8 November Tango, G4IWO.
I'm receiving the link from M1MLB.
M1MRB G4IWO. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was at my end or Jeff's end. It suddenly went very quiet when I finished the over, and I thought I must have been transmitting into nothing. Thanks, Martin. Jeff, ON8NT G4IWO. Are you copying over?
Yeah, I have a good copy, but from time to time, I think my my hotspot is playing QRX. I'm looking to the dashboard. I'm on the dashboard now. Sorry for that. I'm thinking my old hotspot is playing up a little bit. Okay, well, thank you very much, Nick, for your comments and for the news there and the news about all the speakers we will get next week. And I hope to catch you next week. Really looking forward to the activities from next week. And I think it's the moment for the pictures. And I will give the microphone for the final comments and for your picture, Bob, first of all to you. And then after you, I will give the microphone to Keith, and I will send after that my pictures. So November 4, X-ray Alpha Tango, the group of an 8 November Tango.
Oscar November 8, number 4, X-ray Alpha Tango. Now, first of all, Jeff, thank you for running the net. It's a pleasure talking with you. And by the way, I believe that I haven't worked you from home. I've only worked you from the ship. However, I've worked Nick from home, and I've worked Ken while he was in Spain from home, and I may have worked Ken from the UK also. I'm not positive of that. And of course, I've met Mike and Adriana in person. You guys have to work on those antennas, and let's hope that we have an opening 110. Of course, 110, I just used that 5-meter whip antenna. Hopefully that we would have an opening where I could work one of you fellows on 10. You know, years ago, and I presume it's still the same, we used to say that on 10 meters with 5 watts, you could work around the world. And I'm sure that's still true when it opens up. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. As most of you know, I use a magnetic probe on 20. That's where I do most of my activity is 120 and a little bit on 40. Most of my parks on the air, of course, is on 120. And I told you fellows recently that I'm starting to do a lot more USB on 120 because my count is so high. I just need some parts that I haven't worked before. So I will check out the USB now on especially on 20 meters.
And also more recently, I have turned on my WhatsApp to where if somebody comes through, it beeps at me. I usually leave that turned off, and then I would just check it occasionally during the course of the day. But in the last few days, I've left it on just in case someone's out there on a frequency that I can monitor. And that's the way I caught Ken down there in Spain. 2 days straight, I caught him putting out his frequency. So it's a good way to notify people when you are on the air. Thank you once again, Jeff. And if you could fellas just stand by just a couple seconds, I'll try to send my picture. Stand by, please. Helgoland, and Henry says the first word on the name of the ship is CZAR, and I believe the second is the name of the town, but I just can't make it out. Henry was working on it for me, but maybe someone that is looking at it now can tell me the name of that ship. Okay, thank you, Bob. November 4, X-ray Alpha Tango, the group of 8 November Tango. That was a perfect picture, actually. Really perfect picture, very nice. And I just wonder if eventually, if Mark Whiskey Zero Delta and Yamaha, did you manage to get that picture, Mark?
NT. I'm in neutral mode. That means not 1% of the picture. Just a few pixels, unfortunately. My phone going to my old 56K modem for sound, and I thought I was going to get something, but I've only got 1% on the prestige photo mode. Back to you. ON8 then EMW0DIM.
If I can send it again.
N4X80.